Let me tell you something straight. Most people think millionaire habits are about money. They imagine fancy investments, expensive suits, big houses, and luxury cars. But that's not the real story. The real story is much simpler and much harder at the same time. It's about discipline. It's about doing the small things every single day when nobody is watching. 30 days ago, I decided to test something. I told myself, for the next month, I'm going to live like the person I want to become. Not someday, not when I'm rich, right now. The first thing I changed was my mornings. I started waking up earlier than usual, not because waking up early magically makes you successful, but because it gives you time. Time to think, time to plan, time to actually control your day instead of letting the day control you. Then I added learning. Every single day I spent time reading or listening to something that made me smarter. Business ideas, mindset lessons, productivity strategies. The truth is, the world moves fast, and if you're not learning daily, you're falling behind daily. The next habit was accountability. No excuses. If something didn't get done, I couldn't blame my schedule, my phone, or other people. I had to look in the mirror and say, that's on you. Another thing I practiced was intentional work, not just being busy. A lot of people confuse activity with progress. They check emails, scroll social media, attend meetings, and think they're working hard. But real progress comes from focusing on the few actions that actually move your life forward. I also started thinking long-term. Instead of asking, what feels good today, I started asking, what will matter in 5 years? That question alone changes a lot of decisions. Suddenly, wasting hours on distractions doesn't feel so attractive. And here's the interesting part. After 30 days, my bank account didn't magically explode. But something much more important changed. My mindset shifted. I started seeing opportunities where I used to see obstacles. I became more confident in my decisions. My productivity increased. My focus improved. And the biggest thing, I realized that success isn't some mysterious secret reserved for a small group of people. It's a set of behaviors, repeated daily. Millionaire habits don't make you rich overnight, but they build the kind of person who eventually creates success. And once you understand that, everything changes. Because at that point, it's no longer about wishing for a better life. It's about building it one habit at a time. Most people think millionaire habits are about money. They picture luxury cars, big houses, expensive watches, and private jets. They imagine a life that looks glamorous on the outside and assume the habits behind that life must also be complicated or exclusive. But the truth is very different. Millionaire habits are rarely about the money itself. They are about discipline, structure, and the mindset that shapes how a person approaches every single day. At the core, these habits are about consistency. Many successful people do the same productive actions every day, even when they don't feel like it. They wake up with intention, they plan their time, and they avoid wasting energy on distractions that don't contribute to their goals. This doesn't mean they are perfect or that they never relax, but they are extremely aware of how their daily choices add up over time. Another important element of millionaire habits is personal responsibility. Instead of blaming circumstances, successful individuals focus on what they can control. They accept that their results are connected to their actions, decisions, and level of effort. This mindset pushes them to keep improving rather than making excuses. Learning is also a key part of these habits. Many high achievers dedicate time every day to gaining new knowledge, whether through books, podcasts, conversations, or research. They understand that the world is constantly changing and that staying curious helps them adapt, grow, and discover new opportunities. Long-term thinking plays a powerful role as well. People who build significant success rarely chase instant gratification. Instead, they focus on the bigger picture. They are willing to sacrifice short-term comfort in order to create long-term results, knowing that the small disciplined choices made daily eventually shape their future and influence the direction of their entire life. 30 days ago, I decided to test something simple but powerful. I wanted to see what would happen if I stopped talking about success and actually started practicing the habits that successful people follow every single day. Not for a year, not forever, just for 30 days. The goal was not to become a millionaire in a month, because that's unrealistic. The goal was to experience what it feels like to live with the discipline and mindset that many high achievers talk about. The first thing I changed was my mornings. Instead of waking up late and immediately jumping into distractions, I began waking up earlier and starting the day with intention. Those extra minutes in the morning created space to think clearly, set priorities, and plan what truly mattered for the day ahead. It wasn't about waking up early just for the sake of it. It was about giving myself control over the beginning of the day instead of letting notifications, messages, and random tasks take over my attention. I also began writing down my daily goals. Not a long list of unrealistic tasks, but a few clear actions that would actually move my life forward. This forced me to focus on what was important rather than getting lost in busy work. Many people spend hours being active but not productive, and that difference became very clear during this experiment. Another change was limiting distractions. Social media scrolling, unnecessary browsing, and random interruptions slowly drain time and energy. By reducing these habits, I noticed how much more time became available for learning, planning, and working on meaningful tasks that had real value and purpose throughout the day. One of the biggest habits I added during these 30 days was daily learning. Successful people treat learning like a non-negotiable part of their routine. It's not something they do once in a while when they feel inspired. It's something they commit to consistently, the same way someone commits to exercise or healthy eating. Knowledge compounds over time, and small amounts of learning every day eventually create a huge advantage. So I made a simple rule for myself: every day I had to spend time learning something valuable. Sometimes that meant reading a few chapters from a book about business, mindset, or productivity. Other times it meant listening to a podcast while walking or doing research about a skill I wanted to improve. The important part wasn't the format. The important part was staying curious and feeding my mind with information that could help me grow. At first it felt like a small change, almost insignificant. Reading for 20 or 30 minutes doesn't seem like a life-changing habit. But after several days, I began noticing something interesting. My thinking started to shift. Ideas started connecting with each other. Concepts I learned earlier began helping me understand new opportunities and challenges in a different way. Learning also increased my confidence. When you invest time in understanding how things work, you stop feeling lost or uncertain. You begin to see patterns in business, behavior, and decision-making. Instead of reacting emotionally to situations, you can respond with more clarity and strategy. Another powerful effect of daily learning was awareness. I started noticing how many people move through life on autopilot, repeating the same routines without questioning whether those routines are helping them grow or simply keeping them comfortable. Continuous learning breaks that cycle and encourages a mindset that is always searching for improvement and new possibilities. Another habit that became very clear during these 30 days was the importance of accountability. It's easy to talk about goals. It's easy to tell people what you plan to do. But the real difference between average behavior and high-level performance often comes down to whether someone holds themselves responsible for their actions every single day. During this experiment, I removed excuses from the equation. If I planned to complete an important task and didn't finish it, I couldn't blame my schedule, my phone, or other people. I had to accept that the responsibility was mine. That kind of honesty can feel uncomfortable at first, because it forces you to confront the gap between what you say you want and what you actually do. Accountability also made me more aware of how I used my time. When you know you are responsible for the outcome, you begin to look at your habits more carefully. You start noticing the moments where time slips away, like when you check your phone for a few minutes and suddenly 30 minutes disappear. You start questioning whether certain activities are truly helping you move forward or simply keeping you busy. Another powerful aspect of accountability is tracking progress. I began writing down what I completed each day and what I avoided or delayed. Seeing those patterns on paper created a clearer picture of my behavior. Some days were productive and focused, while other days revealed distractions and missed opportunities. This process helped build a stronger sense of discipline. When you repeatedly face the truth about your actions, it becomes harder to ignore the small habits that shape your results. Instead of drifting through the day, you begin making more intentional choices about how you spend your time and where you place your energy. Another important change during these 30 days was learning the difference between being busy and being productive. Many people fill their days with activity and assume that constant movement means progress. They answer emails, attend meetings, scroll through updates, and jump from one small task to another. By the end of the day, they feel tired and overwhelmed, yet the most important goals remain untouched. This experiment forced me to look closely at how I worked. Instead of trying to do everything, I began focusing on the few tasks that actually created meaningful results. These were the actions that required concentration, creativity, and effort. They were often the tasks people delay because they demand deeper thinking and patience. But they were also the tasks that moved my goals forward in a real way. To make this shift, I started planning my day around priorities rather than convenience. Instead of asking what was easiest to complete, I asked what mattered the most. That simple question changed the order of my day. Important projects were no longer pushed to the evening when energy was low. They were placed at the beginning of the day, when focus and motivation were stronger. Another part of intentional work was protecting time. Distractions appear constantly, whether from notifications, messages, or unexpected interruptions. I began creating blocks of time where I could concentrate without checking my phone or switching between tasks. These focus periods allowed me to work more deeply and finish tasks that would normally take much longer. This approach also made work feel more purposeful. Instead of reacting to everything around me, I started directing my attention toward goals that truly mattered, making each hour of effort more meaningful and aligned with long-term progress. One of the most powerful lessons during these 30 days came from changing the way I thought about time and decisions. Instead of focusing only on what felt good in the moment, I started thinking more about the long-term impact of my choices. This shift may sound simple, but it completely changes how you approach your daily habits. Many of the things that feel comfortable today often create problems tomorrow. Sleeping in, procrastinating, avoiding difficult work, or choosing entertainment over growth can feel harmless in the moment. But when these decisions are repeated every day, they slowly shape the direction of a person's life. On the other hand, many actions that lead to success require short-term discomfort. Waking up early, learning new skills, staying disciplined, and working on challenging goals may not always feel exciting in the moment. Yet these actions create momentum that builds over time. During this experiment, I began asking myself a different question before making certain decisions. Instead of asking what I wanted to do right now, I asked what my future self would thank me for. This small mental shift created more awareness about how I spent my time and energy throughout the day. It also made sacrifices easier to understand. When you clearly see the connection between today's habits and tomorrow's results, discipline begins to feel less like a punishment and more like an investment. Each focused hour, each new skill learned, and each productive decision becomes a small step toward a larger vision. Thinking this way helped me see how consistent habits gradually shape confidence, opportunities, and personal growth, influencing the path that life begins to take over the months and years ahead. After 30 days of practicing these habits, the most surprising realization was that the real transformation had very little to do with money and everything to do with mindset. The experiment did not magically create instant wealth, but it revealed something much more valuable. Success is rarely the result of one big breakthrough. It is usually the outcome of small, disciplined actions repeated consistently over time. Waking up with intention, learning every day, taking responsibility for actions, focusing on meaningful work, and thinking long-term all started to reshape the way decisions were made throughout the day. These habits created clarity, improved focus, and built a stronger sense of control over time and energy. Instead of reacting to distractions and temporary comfort, attention slowly shifted toward growth, progress, and purpose. The 30-day challenge showed that millionaire habits are not exclusive behaviors reserved for a small group of people. They are practical routines and ways of thinking that anyone can begin practicing. The real difference is consistency. When these habits are repeated day after day, they gradually strengthen discipline, confidence, and awareness, which are the foundations that support long-term success. Over time, these behaviors begin to compound. Better decisions lead to better opportunities, improved skills create greater value, and a focused mindset opens doors that once seemed invisible. What starts as a short experiment can slowly turn into a lifestyle that shapes the direction of a person's future.